Are you ready to grow on Instagram? In this video, I'm going to show you how I went from 17,000 to over 50,000 followers in just 5 months. My name is Michelle Gifford and I want to help you grow on Instagram, so make sure that you're subscribed. So last November, I made some big changes to my Instagram account, and because of that, I grew a ton. First thing that I started doing is I really started honing in that Instagram is a search engine. It used to be something different, right? Where we could just post whatever we wanted, use the right hashtags, and we could take off. But things have changed. People expect better quality content, and so we have to rise to that. Instagram has algorithms. You've probably heard of them, maybe you despise them. Actually, it's a good thing for your business because Instagram is actively trying to figure out who you are as an account. Because if it can understand what kind of content your account creates, then it can put your content in front of the right people. And if it gets the content in front of the right people, those people stay and hang out on Instagram longer. Instagram's happy because they make more money. So they are actively trying to figure out what kind of content you create. And so if you can start creating content for that search engine, then everything changes. And the first way that I start to do this is to niche down. Now, where I was in October and all of 2022 before that was I was creating all things business. We were talking about email marketing, we were talking about social media, we were talking about Pinterest, we were talking about everything. And then I really started to hone in November on Instagram marketing, and that's what I've been talking about. So that was actually the biggest change, is I was like, hey, we are a part of a search engine. The search engine's trying to figure out what kind of content I create, so I'm going to niche down. Now, I know I get a lot of pushback. I get people who don't want to niche down. They don't want to just talk about one thing. But especially at the beginning and you want to grow, you do need to start talking about that one thing if you want to grow quickly. If you're okay to go slower and you need to figure out maybe what your niche is, then just start creating content. But if you know who you want to serve, then start creating content for that one person with that one problem. And doing that with your niche is going to change everything like it did for me. Next, I started creating content that helped Instagram know who I was. So I create a lot of content and it's all about Instagram. So Instagram, again, is actively trying to figure out who you are as a content creator. And so if I can help it out by creating niche specific content, then Instagram is like, okay, Michelle, she always shows up, she talks about Instagram. I know Sally over here needs and loves learning about Instagram, so I'm going to put Michelle's content in front of Sally. And then Sally sees my content and then she follows me, and then I grow to 50,000 plus followers. I know it can feel overwhelming, but really just start with like, how can I serve one person with one problem with the content that I create? Number 3 is commit to creating content. I know I'm going to get pushback from this because there are people that will tell you that you can grow on Instagram quickly with only 3 posts a week or something like that. And that is true if you are already a great content creator who knows exactly who their audience is, who knows what kind of content they want. But most people, and most people that I coach, like in my coaching group, they are not experienced creators. And so they don't know what kind of content they need to be creating that's going to be the most effective. And so the fastest way for you to learn to create content is to create a lot of content, like a lot of content. So I would commit to showing up every day and creating content. And while that might seem overwhelming now, if you just commit to doing it and start doing it piece by piece, day by day, you're going to be such a better content creator. And you're also going to learn a ton about your audience, about what they like and what they respond to. Next, I started really honing in on Reels, and not just Reels in general, but doing trends, using trending audio, adding a ton of value, and using hooks. Because Reels has its own algorithm. It's a completely different algorithm than any other place on Instagram. And Reels are specifically designed to put your content in front of people who don't follow you. Because that's true, we want to use that as best we can, because Instagram is actively trying to get us new followers by putting our content in front of people who will like our content. And so I used a ton of Reels. I almost post a Reel a day, sometimes more, because I know there's so much power in it. And because I'm committed to create, what happens is I create a bunch of Reels, and not all of them take off, but some of them started to do it. And that's where when I started to see the turn in my growth, is that I started creating different types of Reels, and I started finding the ones that really worked for me and my account. And because they added value, because they had that strong hook, it kept people around. The next one, it's a little bit of a repeat, but it is to use good hooks. I'm putting it in there twice because it is that important. Using hooks is really the key to us getting people to stop and listen to our content. Why did you click on this video? It's because I had a good hook, right? That's why you're here, because you knew that it was going to give you value, and you're still here because I am giving you a ton of value. It all starts with that hook. What are you going to do to get people to stop and to watch or to read? So if you need help with hooks and knowing which ones to do, I have a free hook guide. It gives you 131 hooks that you can use. You can get that below. And what this is going to do is it's going to guide you through how to use the hooks, as well as give you 131 really great hooks that you can start using today. Next up is I started using my Instagram growth formula. I had to realize that people in my audience were in different phases of a relationship with me, right? We had people who were just following me. We had people who had been following me for a while and people who had bought things from me. And so we have people who are in that attraction phase, right? I had to put out content to attract them in to become a follower. Then we have those in the nurture phase. They are following me, but now they're learning to know and trust me and show up for me and be a part of my community. And then we have the sell phase. The sell phase is where they actually purchase my product. So we have attract, nurture, sell. Back in November, in my feed with Reels and with carousels, I really started to focus on this attraction piece and then this nurture piece. So I spent a lot of my content on attraction content. We'll talk a little bit more about what that is. And then I back it up with nurture in my feed. So the attraction content is content that is on the edges of my niche. So we all have a niche, and I really recommend that you have a niche, but if you just go out just a little bit on the edges of your niche, you're able to attract more people who are probably interested in your content but aren't looking for it. So for example, I had a client who is into sustainable fashion. So that is the dead center of her niche, people who are concerned with sustainable fashion. And so that's what she was creating content for. So only people who were interested in sustainable fashion were following her. But then we decided to broaden her niche and go on the outside edges of her niche, and she started to do things like how to shop your closet, how to create outfits from your closet. She started to do some more styling tips, and that could attract more people. Then once those people got there who weren't necessarily interested in sustainable fashion, they were brought in with her attraction content, and then they could go to her nurture content, which is such niche specific, and be nurtured by that and convinced like, yeah, I actually really do care about sustainable fashion. So I started doing that back in November, and from there, that is one of the biggest reasons why I have grown so much and so fast. Now, if you want more help on how to do this for you and your business, I have two ways that I can help you. We have a membership program where you can get a monthly content strategy with templates, and then you get access to all of my Instagram courses. So if you want to be a part of Insta Moneymakers, then click the link below. And also, if you want to know how you can apply this to your account specifically, we are now offering Instagram audits where we give you a personalized strategy of what you can do to grow your Instagram account right now. The next thing is, if you are growing a business and you're only focusing on Instagram, then that is a mistake because you don't own your followers. Instagram does. And things can happen, right? You can lose your account, you can get locked out. Instagram can be down for a little bit. You don't know what's going to happen. And also, I want to build a stronger connection with my audience. And so what have I done is I take people from Instagram to my email list. How am I doing that? The easiest way that I'm doing that is I created a freebie. One of my freebies right now is my 131 hook guide, right? I talked about it now, you can get it below. And so I created content that led people to that guide, and I created some reels, and I gave them a few hooks, and I said, if you want all of them, just leave a hook in the comments, and I sent them a link to my download. So now I'm taking people from Instagram, where I don't own, you don't own, we don't own, and I take them from there and I take them to my email list. And now I can nurture them and send them emails and sell them my products and offers. And the next one I want to give you is to remember that progress is not linear. It took me 7 years to get up to 17,000 followers. And then in November, when I started creating this content, started changing my strategy, everything changed. And I have gone from 17,000 to over 50,000 in just 5 months. So you're going to look at your content, you're going to look at your past, and you're going to say, there's no way I can do this. I'm only growing 100 every few months. But if you do try this, if you start creating niche specific content and you commit to creating content and showing up, your life can completely change. And don't let your past dictate what your future can be. All right, I want to hear in the comments which one was most helpful. Which one do you want more information on? Put that in the comments, and we will see you next time.